Hello everyone. Today I'm sharing 10 cards that I made with the Spellbinders card kit. First card, I was really inspired by the candles and wanted to make a birthday card. I was looking for a cake. There wasn't a cake, but I had an idea to use some of the patterned paper to make my own cake. And so I used these two stripy pattern pieces that I thought could look like a birthday cake. So I rounded the corners and I cut it into a small rectangle, and then I made a smaller rectangle for the top. And I'm using some mounting squares to put them to add dimension, excuse me. And then I glued a little tiny strip of gold, the gold card that comes in the kit at the bottom, and that's kind of like the cake plate. So I really like how that turned out, and I think it really works. And I liked this patterned paper that I used as the background panel. I thought it looked it reminded me of like the flames of the candle, and so that's why I chose it. It's kind of a tie-dye pattern, but it looks celebratory, so I liked that for that. And then I'm going to place it down, and I'm going to tuck the candles underneath, but I'm going to add some mounting squares to them as well. And I think I'm going to weight it to lay it down for sure to see where I want to put things. So, and I want the banner that's above here. Now, I cut out these dies from the set of dies that come with the kit, and they make nice little background panels. I cut one from gold, the pale green, and then from this pattern paper that sort of has fingers making a peace sign. And I'm going to kind of layer them offset here on the right hand side of the card. And that's just going to be a nice focal point for my sentiment. So I'm going to just adjust these a little bit and then stick it down. And I'm using a tape runner because it's easier, but towards the middle or so, I don't know, of this video I run out, so then I have to do a lot more editing to cut out all of the peeling off of the tape that comes with the kit. So now that I've got my background for my sentiment there, I'm going to commit to the placement of my cake and put it down here on the left side. And tuck the candles underneath, and I did adhere that down, but I had to pull it up just a little bit, and that's just right. I like how that turned out. And the banner will go above, kind of offset, and I'm not sure why I did that, but I think I like how that looks. So then for the sentiment, I've stamped the Oh Happy Day from the stamp set that comes in the kit, and stamped it in Versamark and added gold embossing powder that I just have in my stash. And I've also used these epoxy stickers, or not epoxy, they're puffy stickers, excuse me. I've used 3 little hearts, and that comes in the kit as well, those stickers. So I'm going to add some dimension, and I cut a little tail into this cardstock to make it like a banner. And the mounting tape, and you can see the double-sided tape comes in the kit, and I end up using that because I've run out of my tape runner. Then there are these 2 die cuts that come in the die cut kit that I just wanted to add to the cake, and I believe it says Enjoy, the first one, which is a nice green, and then Today. So I'm going to place those kind of on the side there. Now we're on to card 2. So there's this lovely dark pink paper cardstock that I'm using for the background panel. I choose 2 pieces of patterned paper as well to use, and it's that. So this pink one has some butterflies coming out of jars, that sort of thing. And I just cut it about 2/3 and 1/3 of the side. So this bigger one's about 2/3 of the size of the background panel there. And then this beautiful green stripey with gold paper is also in this card. And when I first saw that, I thought, oh, I don't know what I'm going to use that for. But I end up using it, I think, in at least 3 cards. So really liked it. So then I'm going to take a strip of gold card that I've cut it about 1/2 inch, I believe, and use wet glue because that adheres better. and stick it down. And I have another one of those little die cuts from the kit, and I was so excited that it was the perfect color, this light green, because sometimes I'll find the right sentiment but not the right color. And so I'm going to place that down there, and another one of those little puffy hearts is going to just ornament it right next to it. So I'm using, from the dies that were included in the kit, I'm using this dark pink pattern paper. Again, I cut out this lattice panel or background, I'm not sure what that's called. And I'm going to place that down to be a nice focal point for this beautiful butterfly dimensional sticker that comes in the kit. And I absolutely love these stickers. I'm almost surprised I was able to use them because I wanted to just keep them. So card number 3, we're going to use that green striped paper again, and I've stamped out a couple of the kitties from the stamp set, as well as some butterflies, added some alcohol marker accents to them, and I'm using the green paper, like I said, as the background there. I'm going to place that down and get it nice and stuck, and then I'm going to use that same die cut or die that comes in the kit, and I cut it out of gold, the gold card, to make a frame, and then I cut the center part out of white. So I had a gold one that was extra. I might have used that on the earlier card. So I'm going to use the frame just to get the white part exactly where I want it first. And then it takes a little while to add all this liquid glue, and maybe I've overdone it a bit, but yes, I'm going to get every little part glued down. That way the lattice part stays where I want it. And then place that down, and I think I grab, yes, a very ugly and dirty rag, but it's good for absorbing some of that excess glue that's coming out of the edges there. So next, oh, and I've also added some foam tape to the backs of the kitties already because I want them to be dimensional. But as I just showed, that die that comes in the kit is the word lovely. I cut that out 3 times from cardstock and glued them together to give it a little dimension. Then I have my kitties here and the butterflies, and I believe the butterflies, yes, I stamped from the kit and just added a little accent of color with alcohol marker. The smallest butterfly has this die that comes, but it is a stamp is solid, so I just cut it out of the gold cardstock without the stamp. I added some more mounting tape there to that butterfly, and now I'm going to place the kitty down, and that butterfly that I just showed you a moment ago is also from that dimensional sticker kit. So, and this kitty stamped image looks like he's pawing at something. Now I'm going to place that beautiful dimensional butterfly sticker above, just out of reach of the kitty, because that is what the kitty is pawing at there. So, and I added a little bit of that foam tape because I wanted just a little more dimension there. And then I have this sentiment. So the stamp set comes with these sentiments, hello lovely. So I just very carefully stamped just the hello in Versamark ink and added some gold embossing powder, trimming it down just a little bit here. And I'm gonna use that so that I still have the sentiment hello lovely, but I'm using the die for the word lovely. So now I'm going to commit to my placement of this kitty just below. This is the blissfully ignorant kitty who doesn't realize there's lovely butterflies flying around it. And I put that one yellow butterfly next to him, and then this green one up above. Yes, and what is next? Now it's time to glue the lovely sentiment. Now remember, I have 3 of these stacked together. I'd already glued them together. That way you don't have to watch that tedious. And it's not perfect. You probably can't even tell, but yeah, it's a little offset, but it's fine because it works. And then I'm going to glue down the hello as flat just above. And decide where I want these little gold butterflies. I thought I wanted it over there, but then I decided no, there's not enough on this side, so I'm going to do that. And then finally this other little gold butterfly, and that's it for card number 3. I think it was. Was that number 3? I hope so. So card number 4, we're going to start with this pale green cardstock as the background panel, and I cut it to, then I cut, I die cut, excuse me, 2 of the patterned papers in a stitched rectangle that is 3 1/4 by 4 1/2, and it's the die that I have, and I like to stagger them, to layer them kind of offset and as a background, and I just like how that looks, and I've done that before in other cards, and it makes a great starting point for a card. Nice background there. So on this card I stamped the mason jar that comes in the stamp set and added just a little bit of alcohol marker to highlight the jar there. And that was where I started with this card, was actually, I thought, I want to do something with this jar. So I'm placing that down flat. And I really liked this pattern paper that has the blue, it's like a blue tie-dye, but it really made me think of clouds. So that's what I was going for there. Now this die of the butterfly, die cut of the butterfly, I'm putting down with some mounting tape to puff it up a little bit, add some dimension. I liked it there on the edge of the jar. I'm going to put this other die cut of the butterfly above. Then I have this die cut that says Hello Lovely, and it kind of has a bunch of synonyms for lovely. So I'm going to put this stamped butterfly above it, and then this die cut heart below. And then I'm going to fill the jar with my stamped butterflies. And I believe I stamped all of the butterflies out, at least once, 3 of the solid, 2 of the largest, maybe, and 1 each of the medium and the small, I think. And then again, I added a little bit of alcohol marker on the wings just to give it an accent. So we're going to figure out exactly where to put these, and in the jar I am laying the butterflies down flat, but outside of the jar I used mounting tape to add dimension. So I'm going to just kind of put the rest of these solid butterflies down here and there, and they're sort of fluttering coming out of the jar. That's the idea. And I really liked how this card turned out. And that is card number 4. Okay, card number 5. I'm using the yellow floral pattern paper for the background panel, and as well as the smaller blue background floral paper. I really liked how these 2 pattern papers looked together, and so I took again that smaller die cut rectangle that I have, and I'm going to just place it down kind of diagonally here on the paper, and then I'm going to use the die cuts as a focal point in the lower left. So the rectangle is kind of up high in the right, and then I'm going to balance it by clustering these other images in the left. And I've put mounting tape on the typewriter and on this yellow journal book here that says Our Life, Our Story, I believe. But I'm going to take the other book, Florals, and lay it down flat. So I'm just figuring out where I want that first. And then I'm going to put the typewriter down with the mounting tape. And I kind of wanted this stuff coming out of the typewriter, sort of this little cluster. I've got some foliage die cuts, as well as 2 pieces of the gold that I cut from the dies. And then there's this little die cut sentiment that says Charming, and I used the flower and leaves dies to cut that out. Then I have this die cut here that was a hand, and I tried to make it work, but it didn't really work with the hand. So I fussy cut the hand off and used my white gel pen to kind of cover up the remaining hand, and I'm going to just glue it below the typewriter like it's coming out. So there you see my white gel pen that I used to cover up the parts. The thumb basically was still sticking into the image, and put a little bit of mountain tape and then nestle it into the typewriter there. And then I'm going to stick this journal kind of behind coming out, and I really like how that turned out. So, you know, sometimes maybe you want to use part of it, and sometimes you can make it work. So I just trimmed off the hand, and maybe I'll use the hand for something else. I didn't throw the hand away. So I'm going to glue the charming part right here on the side of the typewriter, and then I'm going to nestle this foliage in behind coming out, and just kind of fill it out and tie everything together. And I really like those gold foliage, or the foliage that comes with the die set, because and cutting it out of the gold, because it really ties everything together, since all of the kit die cuts, a lot of them have gold accents, and so it goes nicely together. So I'm going to stick this green one behind and then figure out where I want to put these other ones. It looks like I'm changing, I just want to change that angle a little bit. I don't know why, but I just, yeah, had to change that just a little. And now it's time to put these gold ones down. Have it sticking out right there. And I use my scissors to get in there. Not to cut it, but just to get it just where I want it, because my big fingers weren't working for me there. And then this one, I'll tuck right out there. And adjust it a little bit. Decide, yeah, right there seems good. Then I have this, I've already put all these dies together. 2 of the little flowers and 2 leaves, and then some scrap for the center. Mounted it up with tape, and I've decided I'm going to put the puffy sticker right there on the right. And that's it. That's card, was that number 5? Yes, card number 5. So card number 6 is kind of very similar to card number 7. So it's kind of like card number 6 and 7. And I used all the same background papers here. So I took a panel that's slightly smaller than the card base and cut it out of this pink floral and then this other floral background. And I'm using it like a 2/3, 1/3-ish ratio. So I'm starting with this one here, and it's going to be a horizontal layout, clustering these images. And I like that there's kind of one side is kind of the busy floral and one side's more of a plain floral. It's a great card sketch that you can use if you have those kind of patterned papers. So I'm starting with the hat. I want to put that down flat, and then I have this image of the lady with the camera, and I puff her up on some mounting squares, and the other die cut of the camera, layer that down below. And of course the foliage comes in handy again to just fill things out. Then there's this die cut sentiment dreamer that I'm going to put on the bottom and angle it upward. And I don't know why, I like how that looks. And interestingly, if one's handwriting slants upward, it's said that you're optimistic. So maybe this is an optimistic card. I don't know. And I'm going to tuck the foliage in behind to fill out this cluster, this collage of images. Yeah. And as you can see, I cut out some more gold foliage with the die. Really handy. Love that. So tucking those behind. And on for the there's a secondary sentiment. So we have Dreamer, and then the secondary sentiment I've stamped out Hello Lovely. And I think I stamped that in a dark green. I believe it was an archival ink called Library. So then I have this die cut heart I'm tucking in here, and out of the puffy stickers there was one that said Dreamer also. Stuck that on the heart and used some mounting tape to balance it out there. Some mounting square, and then glue it onto the image, the die cut image with the lady. Then I'm going to glue the other sentiment flat, and I believe I'm going to fuss with it, but I want it just a little, I don't want it to cover up the dreamer, so I have to trim off a little bit there. And that is it for card number 6. Now card number 7 is going to kind of be the mirror of that. Of card number 6. So I'm going to use the other piece of this beautiful floral paper. On this one though, I wanted to use the dark green patterned paper and just a little strip, and I could only cut it to about a 1/4 inch while still having it be straight. So instead of pressing down the side here, I am going to add the green paper underneath so that I just have a tiny sliver showing. I didn't want a lot. And then I'm going to stick this other pink floral that's a more subtle pattern on the other side here. And that looks great. Nice background. Then we have this die cut floral piece, which I love. Every kit seemed to have some great florals, and this nice large one makes a great focal point. So I'm going to stick it here on the left and have it kind of hang over. And then I have used the stamp set again and stamped out the sentiment, all the little things you do mean so much. I believe it's in that dark green ink again. And then I have this die cut that says kind. I've cut up the little mounting tape that comes in the kit to fit it on here, and then I just need to add a little one there. And I'm going to place that right above my stamped out sentiment. And I rounded 2 of the corners on the sentiment rectangle there. So, and that's it for card number 7. Now, card number 8. I was really inspired by this patterned paper that looks a little bit like a neighborhood, like map. And so I just didn't know what I wanted to do with it, but I really thought I wanted to make like a welcome to the neighborhood card for a new neighbor. We've recently had a new neighbor, and I was able to give them a card I made, and there's another house that's going to be sold. And so I'd like to use this card for another new neighbor. And I loved these trees. You get 2 of each of the die cuts in the set. So I'm only using 1 of each of these, but I've got the 2 larger trees I'm going to lay down flat, and I'm using the double-sided tape that comes in the kit for that. So lay them down flat, and then I have a mounting square to puff up the shorter tree. And I'm going to puff him up in the middle. And I like how that looks. A little cluster there. And so when I made this card, I really wanted to say, welcome home. And of course, that didn't come in the kit. And I just happened to have this Home Sweet Home die. So I used that. I cut out 2, like 1 in white and 1 in this pale green, and layered them together. And then I got just the home out of the gold card. And I'm going to glue that down above the trees. So it says Home Sweet Home. Now, if you didn't have a die, you could use handwriting. You could use stamps. You could also use alpha letters, like alpha stickers. And so the welcome, I have this stamp set of letters that I had in my stash, and I stamped it out in about, I think, a dark teal ink on white card, and then I layered it onto the gold card. So I have that welcome home sweet home, and I'm going to kind of put that in the top left there. Then I'm going to make a focal cluster with the dies, a little collage of dies here on the left. And I really liked this envelope because it's kind of like mail, you know. And if you look, there's a tiny little house in there. Look closely if you have that kit. Yeah, so I thought it's perfect for it. So I've taken this bouquet and I'm going to lay it down flat behind. And then I put some mounting tape on the envelope. And I'm going to put that in front. And again, I don't know how many cards I used the foliage and cut it out in gold on, but several. And then I have this other die cut heart. There were probably at least 3, maybe 4 die cut hearts, and you get 2 of each, so they're in a lot of the cards too, and I like those. And then I'm tucking the foliage in behind to fill it out and just bring out the gold accents and everything. And I really like how this turned out. So, very cute, and it showcases that pattern paper so well. So let's, actually I guess I decided to mount that, so I'm putting some mounting squares on the sentiment there, the welcome, so that pops out, welcome, that's the main thing, and then home sweet home. And then I've got a tree sticking out here that I'm just going to trim off. And that's card number 8. So on to card number 9. This one I was super excited about. I kind of saved the most exciting ones for last. This was the inspiration, believe it or not, for this whole card was the little hedgehog. I just wanted to use that little hedgehog somehow. So I have cut out a background panel out of this pale blue, and then a little rectangle of the dark green pattern paper, and again this blue tie-dye that I think looks like clouds. So that's my sky. The green pattern is kind of like my grass, and I'm going for kind of an outdoor park-like scene here. And I've got these die cuts from the kit so the kitty that's pawing, he's gonna be, and I'm gonna put most of the stuff down flat because I'm going to have an interactive element that you will soon see that is sort of the star of the show. So we gotta add some clouds. I'm gonna add some clouds up there. And the kitty is not pawing at butterflies this time, but at a kite. And so when I lay that down, it's gonna be, I think I'm gonna lay it down between these, between the clouds, but just out of reach of Mr. Kitty there. So he's pawing at the kite. Lovely. And then I had this die cut sentiment play. I think it's in a yellow color, not gold, but yellow. So I'm going to glue that down and just lay it across sort of the center card going upwards. Again. And then I have the slide and the hedgehog. And so the slide is going to be there. And then I thought, well, I have a hedgehog and a cat, so why not add the blue jay? And he's going to kind of perch on the Y there. So for the hedgehog, I wanted, like I said, it was going to be interactive. So I really wanted the hedgehog to slide down the slide. Now, how was I going to do this? Well, it's not perfect, but what I did was I took my blade, my craft knife, and I have a metal edged ruler, and I made a slit down the center of the slide. And this is the first time I did this, so, you know, next time I might do it slightly different, but this is how I did it. I took a strip of cardstock and folded some little 1/4-inch wings at the bottom, and then leaving a little platform on the top. So it's about a 1/4-inch, then another 1/4-inch, then a 1/2 inch, then a 1/4-inch, 1/4-inch, if you were to score it. And then I slipped the wings into the slide. So I'm going to carefully glue the edges of the slide, try not to get a lot of glue like in the middle. I think if I were to do it again, I might just glue the top and the bottom and leave the sides open, because the glue did spread a little, but this is how I did it for the video. And then also, if I were to do this again, I would put the wings in first because then I have to slip them in. I use the craft knife to open the opening a little bit, because that was a little tricky, but you know, I managed it. So I'm slipping my little homemade mechanism in there, and you know, I think there are other ways to do this, but this is how I did it. So, and then I've got my hedgehog, and I wanted him mounted up, so I have the mounting tape, but I only left the adhesive on the center part of the mounting tape. So I'm making sure it works there, slides up and down. And then I stick my hedgehog on, and there he goes. He can slide up and down. So I fiddle with it a bit. And I also forgot I had a die cut that says Yippee, and you'll see kind of in the middle of the next card where I realized that and glue it back on. But yeah, mostly that's finished, except for the die cut that says Yippee. And finally, card number 10, I realized, oh, there were these sequins that came in the kit and I haven't used them. So gotta make a shaker card. So I have the card base, and I've put this pale blue dye down. I've glued that down already. And I cut a background paper out of the... Now, here's where I put the Yippee on. So there, that's the... Yeah. Oh, there's this missing. There. That's... Now, back to the shaker card. I had a piece of acetate that I put in the center of that background panel. Just showing all the little pieces. So I had this idea. The offcuts from the lattice panel I saved. And I'm going to use them as confetti in the shaker card. So putting those in there. And then I got to add my sequins. My pink sequins. And place them down. I've already put all the foam on the background panel that has the kitties on it. And that way it's all surrounded. I've surrounded the opening there, and then I just have to peel it off and place it down, and that's tricky. And I did a fairly decent job. It wasn't perfect, but I'm happy with how it turned out. So I put some mounting tape here in the center also, just to give it support. So now I'm going to place it down over that die. And there we go. And then, of course, we have to shake it. see how it works. Slowed that down for you so you can see in its glory all that beautiful shaking. I really like that. That was fun. Alright, now I'm going to use this lattice frame that I cut out of white and put all the glue on and place that over the opening, the window opening for the shaker cart. So get all this glue on, and again, I think my dirty little rag features in there to mop up some of the any extra glue just in case. Yeah, and it helps me press it down without getting glue all over my hands. It's just stained, it's not actually dirty like that. So now for the sentiment, I have stamped Oh Happy Day. Again, I used some picked raspberry distress ink, and I'm using the double-sided tape that comes in the kit to adhere it. And I cut some tails to make it a little banner, and then that goes down below. I was thinking birthday card, but yeah, you never know. So then we have some puffy stickers. There's one that says yay. And then I took 2 of the die cut hearts and I just put them together, offset, and I'm going to glue them down onto the sentiment. And I'm keeping these things flat because the card already has a lot of dimension. Again, we have the yippee, because there's 2 of each, so one was in the card previous and now I'm using this one. Some floral puffy sticker. And then this one says best day ever puffy sticker. And then I have 2 of the puffy hearts that I'm going to figure out where to put. Just one there and there. And that's it. That's card number 10. Thanks for watching. Bye.